Welcome to the Executive Cyber Education Podcast, Cyber Risk Management Driving Real Impact. I'm Dr. Bill Souza. I read an article the other day titled Global Utility Lacking Basic Cybersecurity Practice. Although the article was focused on utilities, the guidance is applicable to every industry. So I'll touch on a few recommendations that could be useful to you as well, regardless of industry. The article was based on an interview with Rafael Nerezi, is a Chief Technology Officer at the CF Partners. In the webinar, Nerezi urged energy companies to increase investments in cybersecurity and be proactive. In addition to investment, he urged companies to make cybersecurity a main driving force for the business. So let's reflect on this statement. It says increase investment in cybersecurity, which would be wise for any organization regardless. However, increasing investment without a strategy would be detrimental to any business, especially small to mid-sized businesses. Perhaps I'm taking this statement out of context, and the rest of this audience knew what we meant with it. But let me be explicit in my analysis here for you. You need to understand your business objectives, services, products, and every revenue stream keeping the company financially viable. And that's because your cybersecurity investment must protect those products, service, and business objectives. And that is clear. So you need to have those identified. And if you have been hearing my podcasts in the past, I'm very key on these items. So the other part of this statement was to make cybersecurity a main driving force of the business. Well, it should be a business pillar, but not necessarily the main driving force, even for a utility. It should be baked in every product, service, and company projects, but not the main force driving the business. The business should be delivering quality and secure products and services to the customer and focusing on maintaining and acquiring new customers while protecting competitive advantage. That is what the company should be focusing on. And that should be the main driving force for any company, mainly, especially those small, mid-sized businesses that require those customers and also have this huge competitive, the large companies, right? So we need to make sure that it is so not bad advice, but I would say is not necessarily a driving force. Nerezi also mentioned that executives lack cybersecurity knowledge and do not know how to act, and many executives are not aware in steps they should be taking to ensure growing vulnerabilities in the grid to cybersecurity attacks are addressed. Well, again, considering the focus was utilities, especially distributed renewables. And usually these organizations are small and investor-owned type of organizations. His statement makes sense. However, the first action of any organizations, including yours, if you are a small business organization, facing these challenges is to hire experienced CISO, so Chief Information Security Officer, or educate the executives and board members by leveraging the National Association of Corporate Directors, the NACD, which has published guidance on cybersecurity for executives. So it provides that beginning cyber understanding, asking the right questions, probing in the right direction. That is a key for the executives to learn. So definitely, if that is true, right, the executives don't know where to start. It is fair because most executives are on a business side. However, there are tremendous amount of sources out there that even what we have with the cybersecurity framework from NIST or the ISO 27001 and whatnot, their frameworks basically is a step-by-step how to build a cybersecurity program. You have an experienced CISO that can do that, and in addition to be able to communicate with non-cyber individuals, then you hit the jackpot. That's what you want. And that will solve that issue of not having the right knowledge on your organization. He also mentioned that more regulation is needed to enact support to cybersecurity frameworks. Now, However, this concern and approach is the fact that regulation usually drives compliance mindset. Not that I'm against regulations. I mean, you should be regulated. The problem with it is how organizations sees regulations. It is basically a chase to the bottom. Is what can I implement, the minimum that makes me compliant and I don't spend too much money. So that is a problem with the regulation. It's a side effect, unfortunately. But is regulation important? Is regulation good for your organization that can help? Yeah, depends, right? There's some regulations that are good. Some regulations just overwork strictly that you spend a lot of money maintain that regulation, and at the end of the day, you don't have proper security, because regulations are meant to establish the baseline, the minimal baseline to secure systems. The chief reason of that is the regulation applies to a broad base of organizations that are large, small, medium, co-op, nonprofit, and to have a single regulation address all these kind of capabilities is kind of difficult. So the regulation will be broad, will be holistic, so it requires interpretation, it requires someone with experience to implement, and that can achieve a security mindset rather than a compliance mindset. Does that make sense? All right. So this is it for you today. It was just a brief podcast on the article I thought was interesting. I put the link of the article in the show notes so you can read for yourself. It's a good read. It's a short read, but by any chance. And also I'll put a link to the webinar that I did a couple of days ago. I have the replay link for you. So if you want to take a look at it, it will be in the show notes. All right. The webcast and the webinar actually was on this cybersecurity framework and how to implement your cybersecurity program in your organization. So I'm glad you stopped by today. Please make sure to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes so you don't miss any future episodes. Take care and see you next time.